All right, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jeremy Pogue, and I help online coaches scale with ads and setters. And today I've got a very special video. This one has been a long time coming with none other than Mr. Shaun Holden. Shaun, thanks for coming on here, man. You've been absolutely crushing it, and you've scaled your coaching business very aggressively and hit all the goals that you set out when we first started working together too. So it's an honor to have you on here. Feels like it's been a long time coming, so it's really cool to kind of see everything just come to a conclusion here, to some degree, and I'm excited to see where you're taking it from now. But anyways, welcome to the channel, man. Pleasure having you on here.
Thank you. My pleasure being here after the last 6 months. It's the least I could do. I sincerely mean this, and I've told you this time and time again, but you've changed my life and you've helped me accomplish everything I wanted to accomplish and more. So yeah, excited to be here, man. So thank you.
Love that. Thanks for being awesome to work with, dude. So okay, let's dive in. So do you mind just kind of giving a quick little rundown of your offer, kind of who you are, what you do, and then kind of like where you were at when you first found me?
hmm Yeah, of course. So I I'm an online coach. I started off in the life coaching space, but right now our offer is we help business owners end self-sabotage so they can show up better in their business to make more money and show up better in their personal life for the people that they love. So when it comes down to our offer, we kind of break self-sabotage up into two core concepts. You know, number one is not doing all of the things that you know you should be doing. Think kind of procrastination. Number two is doing all of the things that you know you shouldn't be doing. So poor habits, poor behaviors. And when I first reached out to you, I might get a little bit emotional here, but I'm cool with that. I remember I had a phone call from so I call her my nan. People may call her like grandma, etc. So I had a phone call from a nana, and she said she needs some help. Now, I've I've been in the coaching space since 2016 and started off career coaching, pivoted into life coaching. And I've always been able to support my family financially, and I've enjoyed that. So when she said I need some help, I thought, oh, it's a couple grand. That's cool. Like, yeah, I'll help. No worries. And that wasn't the case, Jay. She said, I can feel myself getting upset now, but she said to me, I'm going to lose the house unless I can get the mortgage paid. Now she has a beautiful home, but the mortgage, it was 100K that was left on it. So it's 100K that was left on it. And I was like, I felt this weight on my shoulders. I was like, right, I got to solve this problem. I've just got to do it. What sort of man would I be if I don't help my nan out with this? And she's been someone, just for context, for anyone watching, and maybe I've not shared this with you as well. She's been someone that's always supported me when I was a lot younger. I have a really good relationship with her. She's a business owner. She's someone I looked up to. So yeah, I just thought, okay, well, I need to solve this. And right now I'm only earning like 15 to 20K a month. Like I don't have 100K lying around. Like I'm good at what I do, but I don't have 100K lying around. So I remember I was in Madeira, and sorry if I'm going a little bit deep here, but I feel it's relevant. And I
Mhm.
was in Madeira and I couldn't really enjoy the time when I was there. And I got served one of your ads. Thank God for that. But I got served one of your ads, and I remember you saying something along the lines of you scaled your agency, your coaching business, excuse me, to 200K per month. And I was like, what? 200,000 per month? I was like, my first initial thought was, nah, he's full of shit. I thought, no, no chance, he's full of shit. And then I went on and I seen all of the client results, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe he's not full of shit. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where I was, and I remember watching a few of your testimonials every night. Tell you the truth, Jay, every night I was like, I'll watch one
Mm.
in bed before I went to sleep. I was like, oh, okay, and then I'll watch another one. I'm like, wow, it keeps working. He's got all of these testimonials, like it keeps working. So I was like, surely it's got to work for me. And I was like, this guy looks a lot younger than me. Like, if what he does works, surely it's going to work for me. And then that's when I reached out after consuming plenty of your testimonials, plenty of your kind of videos on YouTube primarily. And yeah, we booked a call. And I was like, I'm ready, let's do it. Yeah, there was no sales call. It was like, I'm ready. I need to pay my nan's mortgage off. Help me.
That's incredible, man. And I remember that call as well. And I remember you telling me the backstory here behind that. And I remember feeling a sense of like being called to like step up to the plate as well.
Mm.
And kind of just like owning, like taking some ownership of that too. Cause I'm like, he's relying on me with like everything he's got. And there's a lot of pressure. And I was like, let's do it. And and here we are. So last month you hit a record month. It was your goal when we started working together. Well, you had many goals, right? Pay the
Yeah.
net, pay off your nan's mortgage, and then hit a certain amount. Do you mind kind of touching on that a little bit and just kind of walking us through what that was like, just kind of like building from that 15, 20K a month mark to kind of hitting what you did last month?
Mm. Yeah, my pleasure. So last month, we hit 50K. Um, saying it now just it doesn't really seem real, right? Because I still wear the same clothes, I still do the same thing, and that kind of nothing has really changed apart from the revenue we generated in 1 month. What I will say is kind of changed, which is really important, is my belief of what is actually possible now. I always knew wholeheartedly. I just thought, so I don't know about you, but I think logically, right? Like I'm in business. I think logically, like you've helped enough people. It's unreasonable that this isn't going to work for me. Like it's more logical that it will work for me. So I had that belief from when we started. And I don't know if you remember this, but we didn't even have our launch call for a while. I paid in full and we didn't have our launch call for a while. And that was
Mhm.
because I was traveling. And when we did and when we kicked things off and we got that ad done, um, yeah, my life just changed because I was like, no longer was I worried about like where the next client was going to come from. Like I wasn't thinking, oh, I need to make loads and loads of content, do this, do this, do this. I was like, okay, scripted an ad, went through it with you. We had it live. And you probably remember, maybe you don't because you have so many people inside the program. Nice little flex there. But but I remember sending you over screenshots. People were like, this is me. Please, can you help me? This is me. What's the next step? So I kind of realized, okay, I am helping business owners and self-sabotage. Now, this is something that I used to do. I used to sabotage everything, finances, health, relationships, business, everything. So I kind of found something that I know I'm really good at. And the leads with your system and what you teach, the leads were just coming in. It was, and I don't want to sound arrogant, but it was easy. It was a lot easier, is what I'm saying.
Mm.
And we hit that 50K month last month, not for, and I really want to illuminate this, not for the issues. I remember I spent some time with yourself and Eduardo. Like we got hacked on Instagram. There was issues, there was loads of problems, and you and Eduardo were brilliant to support me with that. But there was a time where everything switched off. Unfortunately, fortunately, I mean, we still had people referring everybody else over. So yeah, last month we hit 50K. This month I've really kind of taken my foot off and I'm really focused on delivery. And I haven't even shared this on the community, but we've had a 9K day today. I was about to share it, so we've had a 9K day today.
Good for you, man.
um, yeah, thanks, man. And we're probably going to do 40, 50K again. But for me, the kind of beliefs that I had were I had a lot of conviction because you had a lot of testimonials. I was like, if this
Mm.
is working for Tom, if this is working for Steve, and if this is working for all these people, it's got to work for me. And that's a belief I had. I upheld that belief. And then, of course, I acted in alignment to that belief. I just did what you said. I reached out for support. I think a lot of people sign up to programs, they don't reach out for support. And you and your team were very receptive and very supportive. And you actually surprised me with that. I just want to be very transparent with you. Like the level of service that you delivered in my time of need made me value you and respect you a whole lot more, which is why we've just put a nice little investment down for the mastermind, because you've gone up in my estimation as to how you run a business. So yeah, 50K last month. Just literally doing what you say. We're going to do somewhere similar this month, and it just is now starting to feel easy to generate clients because of what you've taught me.
That's incredible, man. I remember I remember all of our conversations very vividly too. I remember like our sales call that we had. Well, sales call. Um, I remember, yeah, like the account getting banned, some issues with that. And like especially though, once we like created the ads and we got so dialed in on the messaging and the targeting those ads that you were literally sending those screenshots of people being like, this is me. Like, how do I get started?
Mhm,
And I think a big problem I see that a lot of people struggle with when it comes to ads, they don't have their messaging dialed into that degree.
mhm,
Um, I'm curious to hear your takes. I know like we kind of did that together as well, but I'm curious to know like what lessons did you learn when it comes to messaging and marketing
mhm,
that you kind of wish you knew sooner on in your journey that somebody else could kind of take from watching this video right now and apply
mhm,
that into their messaging and their content and stuff like that to just make it hit harder and get messages like that from their prospects.
mm. Yeah, it's a good question. I think one thing I see all of the time is people switching niches. And I came to you and I said, I know what I do works. I have a program. I just need more people in it. And I said to you, mine's a messaging problem. I said, you help me
Mm,
fix that. Like, and I was very maybe kind of naive to think I knew what it was, but it was a messaging issue. And I retrospectively, it's easy to see. So I think a lot of people will change their niche or their messaging too often. And that in itself is self-sabotage. Like, how on earth can you know something works if you don't try it for long enough? Right? Like, it's like,
mhm.
okay, and I see it now, and I see, and I've shared this with you. People are literally copying me, like the bio, the testimonials. Someone even called their same program the same as mine. And of course, it frustrated me, but on reflection, there's a reason they're doing that. It's because mine's working. So I
Yeah.
get that. But what I see a lot of the time, and I speak to a lot of coaches now inside of kind of the program, people often reach out to myself because they're thinking of investing in you.
Mm,
Um, but a lot of the time they'll be like, oh, it's not working. I'm like, okay, well, what's your measuring stick? How long have you been, measuring this? Oh, I've tried it for 3 months. Oh, I've tried it for 6 months. Like, okay, well, usually, the plan isn't the problem. You sticking to the plan is the problem. So that's a kind of lesson that I've learned is normally people have a decent enough kind of niche, if you like. The problem is they don't stick with that niche long enough to know whether or not it works. And ergo, that is self-sabotage 101. So that's kind of a huge lesson that I've learned there. In terms of the ads, I think I also think that what you teach is very simple. And you make no mistake about that. What you teach is very simple
mm,
and like it works. So we don't try and fix something that isn't broken. And I think when it comes to ads and spending money, like people are very have a scarce mindset. Like, oh, I don't want to spend $100 or £100 a day, whatever it is, because I don't get any clients for 7 days or 8 days. But it's like, well, what happens on the ninth day or the 10th day? You'll never know because you've switched the ad off. So I think again, it's having that conviction. Okay, like this guy has helped hundreds of people. Like this is going to work. Just do as he says, stick with it long enough. And then of course, we want to track. We don't want to just keep doing the same things over and over and expect different results. But we
mm.
have to kind of, see what works by actually doing it long enough. So yeah, I don't know if that kind of answers your question, but that's kind of a few lessons that I've learned when it comes to the ads and certainly working with yourself.
Love that, man. Yeah, some powerful stuff there. And one thing that I'm really curious to know as well, to kind of make that leap from like 15 to 20K to becoming like an entrepreneur where 50K a month is now like a normal or like a bad month even when you're taking your foot off the gas.
Mhm.
Who did you have to become in order to do that?
Mm. My life's pretty boring. And that's because I believe personally success isn't really sexy. It's doing the
Mm.
same boring things every single day. I have a process that I do every day. And the reason I do it is because it works. So for me, I had to just think more long term, you know, hiring when it hurts, you know, doing things that oh, one thing I'll share, and I'll share this with you. I spoke to Tom. I said, Tom, I'm really curious. Like you discussed your price on the VSL. Um, I'm not really sure whether I should do it. He said one thing and it changed me forever. He said, if the thing that you're thinking about is making you feel scared and you're not sure whether to do it, then it's a sign that that's the exact thing you need to do. And I was like, that's all I needed to hear. So when you ask the question, who did I need to become? I needed to understand that there are people well ahead of me who are older, some younger, and that's okay. And leave your kind of ego at the door and just be a student. What I love about your program, Jay, is there's people in there doing ridiculous, disgusting amounts of money, as we say,
Yes.
disgusting. And it just kind of makes you feel like, wow, you're a small fish. And I quite like that. I like the Paytons, the Toms, yourself, like even people
Mm.
who aren't, ahead of me kind of revenue wise, they've all got things to add. And I think a lot of the time, my old perspective was I can't learn from people who are making less money than me, which is very egotistical, right? Like someone
Mm.
who's making less money than me can certainly add value, can certainly help. So yeah, I think to answer your question, I just needed to become more of a student in business. I think the more you surround yourself with people like your students, your clients, the more you realize how little you know, irrespective of how much money you're making. There's always someone doing a lot more than you.
That's incredible. That's incredible, man. I love how you started that off with saying that success is very boring and simple.
Hmm.
And that's one thing that I preach a lot as well, is just simple scales, fancy fails, as you know.
Mm.
My marketing is that, the program and how I teach it and how I deliver it is that, and everything else. The whole funnel is very simple. But also, like, how you do anything is how you do everything. So when somebody has such a chaotic personal life, that bleeds into their business as well, and then it doesn't grow. So I appreciate you saying that, and I think that's something that is going to resonate with a lot of people and really
Mm.
just help them simplify their life a little bit, to then just like be able to actually see the growth that they want, because they'll have the headspace to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
so when you were at the 15 to 20K a month mark, like what was it specifically that was like keeping you stuck?
I do think it was a lack of knowledge of, you could go out all the big hitters in the game. They say the biggest debt you pay is ignorance debt. Like I just didn't know how to get past that, that phase. I didn't know. I was like, okay. And the cool thing is like comparatively to other people that I knew, coaches, they were like, wow, you're making 20,000 a month. Like that's a hell of a lot. And I was like, that's not a lot. There's people out there crushing it. So in terms of kind of myself and my experience when I was at that 15 to 20K mark, I do think it was the messaging because as soon as we fixed that,
Mhm.
from I hardly even, and I'm being very transparent, and maybe people think this is the wrong thing, but I'm just being vulnerable and authentic here. I hardly even jumped on any of the group calls. I'd watch them on record because I was like, okay, well, given the time difference, like the group calls at X or whatever time, like that's my sales calls. That's my, in the DMs, that's me in the trenches doing the deep work, etc. So for me, it was just a lack of knowledge. I just didn't know. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay my 100K Nan's mortgage off. I don't know how I'm going to do that. So I have a few grand here. Like, I'm not broke. Like, let me just invest in some help. And I'm a coach. Like, how can coaches expect people to buy from them when they're not investing in themselves? Right. Like, I don't understand that. Like, if you're wanting to if you're expecting clients to pay a lot of money to work with you, then why are you not reciprocating, right? And you know yourself, you have a great coach. I'm not sure if you're still with him, but yeah, you do the exact same. You invest in yourself all of the time. And yeah, for me, it was just a lack of knowledge. I know I've gone a bit off context there, but it's a lack of knowledge, didn't know how to do it. Found somebody who seemed like he knew what he was doing, and I thought, well, let's take a risk. Like, let's do it.
Love that. I was talking to the team this morning and we were talking about the program and client success. And one of the key traits that we identified from a lot of our most successful clients are they come into the program. We have one, two, maybe three calls with them. So one's built like the messaging, the ads and stuff with me. We're helping script them out. And then we launch those. And then maybe like a setting call with Eduardo or something like that as well. And then they kind of disappear. We don't hear from them for a while. And then all of a
Guilty.
sudden they're like, hey man, just hit a record month. And they come out of nowhere.
Mm,
And meanwhile, like they got the little golden nuggets that they needed and they weren't afraid to fail. They weren't afraid to just take it and run with it and execute on that. Whereas
mhm,
some people kind of like that don't see the results that people like you do, it's they're afraid to fail. They're afraid to take action and just execute. They overthink everything and they
mhm.
try to just add complexity to everything as well. So I'd love to kind of hear your perspective on that. Like, how can somebody develop the skills or at least the character traits of just like consistency and just like execution, just taking action and just like taking ownership of their situation and then just applying it and
Mhm.
not being afraid to fail.
Yeah, I think it comes back around to where I alluded to before about, using the right type of measuring stick. Like, if you're going to measure success in a couple of days, like, oh, I've been trying this thing and I've only tried it for a day or a week or a month even, like, that's not enough data. It's not enough time. Like, how do you know it doesn't work? You've not tried it for long enough. So for me, I think more long term now. Everything I do, and I'll share this with you, I don't have any children. I grew up without a dad. And everything I do every day, every week, every month, and every single year is for my future children. I want to be the father figure to my future children that I didn't have growing up. So I have a big enough why. Like that pulls me every day, that gets me out of bed every single morning. So I understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. So because I understand and I have a strong enough why, the how becomes a lot easier. Like getting out of bed every day, speaking to prospects every day. Like that's easy because future Shaun, future, my children will thank me for the decisions that I make right now. I think a lot of the time, being in my work as well, the space I'm in,
Yeah.
a lot of the time it's they don't understand their own why. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Like, why do you want to make all this money? Why do you want to help people? Like, what's the 5-year plan? Like, what's pulling you towards these things because it's not going to be nice. Sometimes most of the time it's uncomfortable, especially when you're starting out. So to cultivate that motivation and that discipline, I think you just have to have a strong enough why. And I know Simon Sinek talks about it all the time, what's your
Mhm.
why? And I'm on board with that because every single year I have it here because I've just moved house, which I suspect we're going to touch on shortly. But this was 2023 goals, this was my why. And
Mm.
I've absolutely crushed every single one of them. But I do believe when you understand why you're doing what you're doing, how to get yourself to do it becomes a hell of a lot easier. I said to my girlfriend last night, everything I do is for you and our family and our future children. And like that was a special moment because it's true. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm changing lives. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing for my future children, for my future wife. I want to be able to be the man, be the father that I never had. So I guess when you've got a why like that, it comes a lot easier.
Powerful. Powerful. I'd love to kind of double click on that and go a little deeper here as well. Because I know obviously you help business owners eliminate self sabotage. And a lot of the people watching this video right now are most likely business owners with self sabotaging tendencies.
Mm.
is that the first place that you would recommend they start, getting clear on their why and their vision and kind of what they're doing, the motivation behind their goals? And then if so, what's next? Or if not, like what's that process look like helping somebody go from A to B in terms of self-sabotaging to completely just like unlocking their growth and destroying all the limits that they impose on themselves.
Hmm. Yeah. So I think we all have this supercomputer, our brain. Problem is we don't know how to use it. Nobody teaches us how to think.
Mm,
And our brain is operating on an operating system that we don't really need anymore. You know, it's there to keep you safe. It's there to avoid potential threats. And a lot of the time, a lot of our behaviors, our thoughts, our actions, they're automatic, they're habitual, and they're subconscious, right? So we do things that aren't congruent with where we want to be, but we don't know why we've done it. And I say to clients all of the time, there's always a reason why you do what you do. It's my job to help you identify why you do it. And a lot of the time, it is just flawed thinking patterns that are keeping them stuck. You know, it's
mm.
perhaps not knowing the whole picture. And because they don't know step 8, step 9, step 10, they don't even take step 1. So a lot of the time it is really kind of understanding our thinking patterns. And the problem is, Jay, is we don't get taught how to think. You know, we're in a society where people want us to go to school, go to university, get a job, etc. Nobody teaches you how to think. And that's one of the first things that we do inside of the program is we help people understand what self-sabotage is, why they do it, and then identify their own self-sabotage and triggers. And we all have them. So yeah, I think that's where where we do start with our clients is helping them understand what's going on up here, right? Because behind every business owner is a human. Behind every human is a brain. And sometimes that brain can keep us stuck because it thinks it's keeping us safe. And often it's just keeping us stuck.
Love that. What I'm trying to see a lot is people are like aware that they're stuck, but they let their ego kind of blind them.
Mhm.
And they tell themselves that they're going to figure it out on their own. They're going to eventually one day fix it, or that they're going to get through this somehow, or they're just trekking along and things are going well. But then if you look at it objectively, they've been stuck, they've been plateaued for a long time, but their ego is just kind of like protecting their self-worth, so to say,
Mhm.
by lying to themselves. It's like, what advice would you have for somebody who might be kind of stuck in that cycle where they know they're stuck deep down, but their ego is kind of like getting in the way of that? And
Mm.
it's like, and if they don't break out of that cycle, then they're going to just stay stuck spinning their tires. Do you see
Mm.
this happen very often?
Yeah, ironically, a lot of the time people will self-sabotage getting help with self-sabotage. So yeah, absolutely. For me, I think you have to look at the cost of inaction, right? Like for me, the cost of inaction of me not investing in you and working with you to learn what you teach was that my nan is on the streets.
Mhm.
I can't allow that to happen. What type of man would I be if I allowed that to happen? Ethically, morally, my values, principles, it's not in alignment. So it was a case of this problem needs solving. There's nobody else that can solve it. I'm going to take responsibility. So I think whether it's what you do, whether it's what I do, everybody can learn what we teach, right? Like I say to people on sales calls now, courtesy of Austin, like I'm not trying to force anybody to work with me anymore. Like everything that I teach and that you teach and everybody teaches, the information, the resources are out there. You can just spend the next 5 years figuring it out on your own. And that's okay if that's what they want to do. Or you can come and work with someone like yourself for a period of time, pay some money, and get there a hell of a lot quicker.
Mm.
So I think for me, if you're still in the same situation, that you have been for the last few months, like you have to change the story, right? Like yeah, that story, that story is what keeps people stuck. I'll give you a very quick story, which people perhaps will be able to relate to. I spoke to two business owners one day. Both of them were about to have a baby. Both of them. They said their partners were pregnant. One of them signed up to me and invested because he had a baby on the way. The other
Mm,
told me he can't sign up because he had a baby on the way. Exact same situation. One used it as a reason to get support. One used it as an excuse to not get support. So again, you have to choose your story, you know? So you have to look at the cost of inaction and leave your ego at the door, man, because there's people out there that know more than you, and that's okay.
it's interesting how our mind plays tricks on us, isn't it? Because like you said, they have the two people with the exact same circumstances, and one mind sees that as an opportunity. One mind sees that as like kind of like a threat and a reason to not,
Absolutely.
right?
Mhm.
And and I bet you I have a pretty good guess on where those people are now, where each one is. And it, yeah, I see that time and time again too.
Mm.
Um, that's awesome, man. So I'm curious to know too, just kind of shifting gears a little bit and kind of digging into kind of like your structure right now. So doing 50K a month, what's your team structure look like? I'd imagine, well, I know, but it's pretty lean. Things are nice and smooth and stuff like that. You mind just kind of touch on that a little bit? Kind of just like talking about like who you've hired, when, and any like leadership principles you can share with us as well.
Yeah. My apologies. I just needed to move that light. It's getting late here. So the light's going. But yeah, absolutely. I'd love to tap into that and share that with you because you're right, it's very lean. So at the moment, I have a client success coach, I have an appointment setter, I have a freelance video editor that work for me. That's it. At the present moment, I'm on the lookout now for another client success coach because now I'm thinking usually people get to kind of this space from what I've seen
Mm.
and they're like, okay, let's crank this up. I'm kind of thinking, how can I buy more of my time back? I'm if we
Mm.
continue doing 50K, like I'm happy with that, sincerely. And maybe people think, oh, well, you should be scaling this, but I'm happy with leveraging my time better now. So I'm looking at making more hires so that I can still do the 50K, but it's a less return on investment from me time wise. So that's where we're up to right now. It's very lean. One client success coach, one appointment setter, one video editor. That's it. Overheads are pretty low. I, yeah, I'm bringing on another client success coach in July. And my goal is, I'll just be very transparent.
Mm.
My goal is to kind of emulate people who are doing great things in this industry, like yourself, having people who are experts within their field. That's exactly what you do.
Yeah,
So again, like we spoke about before, that ego side of things. Okay, well, this shit's working. What Jeremy does works. So what can I learn from that? How can I implement that into my business? What would work? What can we do? How can we make it better? So that's where I'm up to right now. We're looking at making a new hire, and yeah, the team's pretty lean at the moment.
that's awesome, man. One thing I've been learning a lot recently is that leadership is a completely different ballgame. Leading people, managing a team, stuff like that. What's something that you wish you knew earlier when it comes to leadership?
Hmm. I'm thinking because there's so many different avenues I could take this conversation down. I think we need to kind of understand that what success looks like to one person might look very different to another. Like,
Mm.
for example, you may well have people in your team that are motivated by money, and there'll be other people in your team that are motivated by spending more time with their children. So I have a client success coach. I absolutely trust her with my life, but I know she's not motivated by money. Like what she's motivated by is spending time with her child, being able to take him away. Like that's what she's motivated by. So I think where I'm kind of going with this is we kind of have to understand that humans are very complex. We all have different nuances and we're all motivated by different things. Yes, of course, earning a hell of a lot of money helps solve most problems. But giving more money to somebody who wants more time back is going to make them more unhappy than happy. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
100%. So basically having a conversation with each person individually, understanding what truly motivates them, what's actually important to them, what do they value the most, and then
Mhm.
helping them optimize their work with you around that and helping them kind of like make their vision become a reality within the vision of you and your business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, 100%. And I do think that comes down to one of my core values in the business is communication. That's a value I hold through relationships, my personal life, and in business, like communication. I can only help people solve problems that I'm aware of.
Mhm.
So if any of my team members come to me with a problem, I can help them fix it. So yeah, just managing expectations from the off, and really having a human to human relationship with people. I
Yeah,
love my client success coach, and I'll send her this video. She knows that I tell her every single week, and without her, I wouldn't be here. And it's that simple.
love that. Love that, man. How'd you find her and how'd you know she was the one to hire?
Mm. I have a belief about this. Um, Maybe it'll help, maybe it'll not help, but I'll share it because it's my belief. I believe that if you want to hire a client success coach, I do personally believe it's somebody that you've worked with in some capacity. So BB, her name's BB, she hired me 2 years ago to help her end self-sabotage. And then
Mm,
she became a coach. And then I realized, okay, well, she is somebody that understands me, my workings, my methods. Like we've got insane results for her. So as soon as the opportunity, presented itself to hire a client success coach, I had her immediately. And the same with this new guy that's coming in July. As soon as I started working with him, I knew.
mm,
And again, these are both people I've worked through, both people that I've worked with and that have worked through the program. So for me, it was very easy. She knows me, she knows my method, she knows what we teach, and she's got better qualities than me. She's a mum, right? So she's more compassionate than me. She's more patient than me. She's more understanding than me. And I think a lot of the time we have to hire for the skills that we lack. Um, and that's a belief that I have.
love that. Nailed it. All right. Before we wrap things up here, Shaun, I want to talk about where you're sitting right now, the roof that's over your head. Talk to us
Yes,
a little bit about that because it's been really cool from my side watching your growth and setting a very clear goal for yourself
Mhm.
and achieving it and turning it into a reality.
Yeah.
And I love just kind of like hear the backstory on this. So obviously, you paid off your nan's mortgage, you covered all of that, and then what happened after that?
Yeah, I kind of spent 6 months away traveling last year, which is while I was in Madeira, and I reached out to you. And I kind of realized really quickly the kind of main 5 or 6 things that I, love doing and I want to spend my time doing. And one of them was, spending time with my partner. And I don't even talk about my partner on social media, so I just want to share that with you. Nobody knows. But I'm sharing this now, very aware of it's going to go out there on the internet, and I'm okay with that because it's context, right? So I
Mhm.
realized very early from my traveling that I wanted to have a base. Now, I'm 32. 16 years ago, I was in a homeless hostel, and I always had this belief like, I'm going to be successful. It's not a case of if, it's just when. I just knew it was going to happen. And I didn't know like what avenue, what mode of transport I'd use to get there, but
Mm.
I was never really a fan, if I'm honest with you, of buying property, because it's a large sum of money, you're investing it, and when it comes down to it, people people can still take it away even if you own it. But that's a story for another time. But I was homeless 16 years ago and I'm 32 now, and I just bought this house immediately after helping my nan sort the mortgage out. And the reason I'm able to do that is wholeheartedly, yes, down to the hard work I have done 100%, because your stuff works, but of course you have to do the work, right? So it's down to the hard work that I've been doing over the last few years, but it's down to the systems that you teach. And what you teach now and what you have been teaching has allowed me to kind of understand and make me a better coach, make me a better man, make me a better partner, a better uncle, better grandson. And yeah, now I'm in my own home. My nan, her mortgage is sorted, and now this is my office. So this is where the magic will be happening. I've moved in here on the 26th of April. Um, so yeah, I'm feeling very grateful, man. Everything has come to fruition. And over the next 6 months as well, because of all of the hard work that I've been doing, I'm about to purchase a new car. And all of this is possible because an amalgamation of, again, what you teach and my hard work and discipline to just keep doing the same things day in, day out, because success, isn't sexy.
Wow. Congratulations, man. Like from the bottom of my heart, it's been such an honor and a pleasure to be a part of your journey. And I can't wait to link up in person
Yes,
soon
sir.
as well. And really just really just like reflect on everything that we've done and everything that we're going to do as well. And
Mm,
it's gonna be very, very special. So yeah, I
yeah.
know from myself and the team, it's been an honor working with you and really excited to continue working with you too. And really just watch your growth and your progress from here to the next stages as well, because you're a man of integrity, you're a man of your word. And when you say you're going to do something, you got a pretty damn good track record of doing it. And so it's pretty cool to see that. So, um,
Mm.
last question before we wrap things up, because I want to be respectful of your time here as well. So, I'd love to know, like, if you could rewind and have a conversation with Shaun from a year ago, what would you tell him?
You're right. You're right. Yeah, I would tell him, you're right. There's no way of knowing right now, but your beliefs that you're going to do this, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You are right. So just reach out for help sooner. That's what I would say. Reach out sooner. Don't struggle in silence. Like, there are people to help you, whatever it is that you want to help with. But you're right. Just keep going and make future you proud. Because I'm reflecting now, and yeah, I think I've made past Shaun very proud, and if I continue in this vein, like, I'm sure I'll make future Shaun proud as well. So yeah, that's why I would say keep going, reach out for support sooner, and keep going, man. It's only a matter of time.
Amazing. Well, Shaun, thanks so much for coming on here, man. Really enjoyed this conversation. It was powerful, and I got a lot of takeaways from this. And I know the people watching 100% will as well. So, where can people find you if somebody's struggling with self-sabotage right now and they've been stuck in a rut, they've been stuck, they've been plateauing for a while? Like, what can they do to put their foot in like put their foot down, draw a line in the sand, and say, you know what, enough is enough. It's time to actually make a change and start seeing some progress. Where can they find you, and how can they get some help?
Yeah, I think Instagram is probably the best place. The self-sabotage coach, Shaun Holden Life Coaching. I'll come up straight away. And I think they have to be in the right place, because one of the things that we need to do immediately is kind of alternate that story of being in the victim mentality. We have to take ownership. There's a reason why you, as in this person who we're talking about, but there's a reason why you're stuck. If
Yeah.
you're in the same place over and over and over again, you are the common denominator. There's a reason for that. So
Yeah.
if they're ready for change, if they're coachable and they are, they understand that they are the problem, then they can reach out on Instagram. I'll be happy to help. And yeah, the cool thing is, Jay, with all of your support and your team's support, I do just feel like we're just getting started.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm excited.
Love it. Well, thanks a lot, Shaun, for coming on, man. Really appreciate everything. And yeah, it's been such a pleasure. So thanks for watching, guys. If you want Shaun's help, you know where to find him on Instagram. And if you want my help, click the link down below or message me as well. And we'll set you straight. So aside from that, see you guys in the next video.
Thanks, man.